get this party started. Playing the little intro video. It's super cool. I'm excited for you guys to see it when it's done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are live and direct from the home of technical difficulties. I am your commander in chaos, Molly Ruland. We're trying to figure this out. Usually I have an engineer running this, so it's a little difficult. I talk about this all the time in podcasting that it's really hard to engineer and be an interviewer and be the editor and all the things. And now I am feeling that firsthand. So thank you guys for tuning in again. This is our new daily LinkedIn Live. We're off to a little bit of a late and rocky start, but if it ain't easy, it's not worth it, or something along those lines. That's what I'm going to put on my Tinder profile. All right, so little comic relief never hurt anybody. So all right, so we're gonna start off by introducing. We're gonna bring Mary into the fold here, and we are going to let me pull this up on split screen. And so, all right, let me adjust this little thing here, and then you guys can always go on if you want to see this thing in action. You can always go on your Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, and
I've got it up.
Hey, all right. So, all right, here we go, Mary. All right.
Hello.
So, yay. So introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are, what you do, your company.
All right. Hi, I'm Mary Sue Dahill. My business is Work Smarter Digital. I work with small businesses that are tired of all the tedious administrative tasks with running a small business, and they're looking to leverage digital tools and automate the operations behind the scenes. And I bring to this my 20 years of technology management experience, largely at Blackboard, which I'm sure they're probably doing pretty well right now.
What is Blackboard?
Blackboard is a learning management system. So gotcha. It helps. A lot of universities and schools use it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I bet your services are in high demand right now with everything going on. I hope.
Yes. Yes, I've been on so many Zoom meetings.
I bet. Right on. Well, thank you for taking time to join us. I know time is important even now. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and bring in Michael now. All right, Michael, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Molly?
I'm good. Thank you very much. You want to tell everybody who you are and what you do?
My name is Michael Script. I'm a third-generation inventor, and I invent in the safety and security, medical device, and video surveillance industries. And so far, obviously on quarantine, I've been doing a little bit of reading, and I just ordered Abel, the Russian monk and seer. It's about a Russian monk who foretold the next 150 years of the Russian dynasty right up until the fall of the czars. And I find him amazing. That's my book.
There you go. That's a good. I'll have to check that out for sure. All right. And then Iman. All right, I'm pulling you in. Look at that. Boom. All right. So why don't you introduce yourselves and tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me, Molly. This is great what you're doing. My name is Iman Huschmand, and I'm an entrepreneur, and my flagship company and what I've been doing for the majority of my life has been events and entertainment. When I was 16, I started DJing. I did it through high school, college, and grad school. And then just when I thought I was going to do big boy stuff, I decided to start an entertainment company. And I had it for 12 years. It's called Exclusively Entertainment. That's my flagship company. And the events and wedding industry is the first domino that fell during this unprecedented time. And so it's essentially in a comatose right now, unfortunately. So that's been extremely heartbreaking, especially because I have some of the most talented and experienced and professional entertainers and technicians and coordinators that aren't able to, bring joy to people that we usually do on a weekly basis. Fortunately, I do have two other businesses that I started last summer. One of them is a consulting company and also a educational seminar. It's called Unite and Conquer. And basically the premise of Unite and Conquer was to educate, inspire, and provide opportunities for small business owners to network together. It was originally for event professionals, wedding professionals, hospitality professionals, and I had it on March 4th, the first seminar. But I've since shifted it over to open it up to all small business owners, because now more than ever, we need to unite and we need to conquer. So we are doing Unite and Conquer. We're going to be doing podcasts, and I have a lot of stuff coming up that I'll be able to share with you guys later on. Hopefully anyone that wants to join this movement and be each other's support, very similar to what Molly's doing, just in different facets. And then I also have another company called Night Owls, which is the multimedia production and digital marketing leg. We do photography, videography, and we do digital marketing, again, with an emphasis on helping small business owners. So although it is tragic what's happening in the world, I'm actually happy that at least I have Unite and Conquer and Night Owls. And I get to meet a lot of hardworking people like yourselves and your viewers, and a goal to unite and conquer, and then utilize each other's resources to help, support, inspire each other. So sorry for the long intro, but that's my situation.
No, that's awesome for sure, man. That's super cool. I've always been really impressed with everything that you do. You've always been such a community leader, and you've always brought people together. And we're in different worlds, but I always felt like I was a small part of yours, and you've always been welcome in mine. And so I appreciate all the things that you do. I think this is such a unique group of people, for sure. With a whole lot of different skill sets. And, I recently met Mary, but I've been really interested in just, automation and digitizing things and just making things more efficient and run smoother. I'm all about Zapier. I love my Zaps, y'all. I'm a big fan. And just saving time. So I just think that, I don't know. I'm curious to know what you think, Mary, because I feel like we've moved into this whole new world, right? It's like, I feel like how we value our time is going to really change. And I think that we're going to move into a lot more of this remote type work. I think we're going to be commuting a lot less, which is better for our families. It's better for the planet. It's better for so many reasons, right? Like I love socializing and working, but I also wouldn't mind a separation in those two things. And maybe if we weren't spending so much energy to get to work and to work, then we would have more energy to actually spend with our families and our friends. And so I'm curious.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, how do did you see this coming? Not the virus per se, but this shift towards digital?
Well, I think it's been coming for a while. I've always worked remotely probably for like 15 years in different capacities. Being in tech, I've worked with people in India, Sri Lanka, the Czech Republic, all over. So being able to work remotely with people is just part of what I do. And I do find it interesting with the clients that I'm working with right now that they have been able to, be successful in their business with just networking and going out and meeting people one-on-one. And now they're having to kind of do the basics of setting up their mailing list, making sure that they're consolidating all their contacts in one location, lead generation activities. So they're kind of doing the foundational stuff right now, which will benefit them regardless of when it is. So it's been good.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm glad to hear that your business is doing good. It's been such a crazy week. Everybody's kind of all over the place. And you can tell that you've been remote for a while because you got the best background for sure.
Yep.
Killing it.
And I have a light.
Yes,
What are you trying to say my boring whiteboard is not entertaining?
I'm just saying, man. I feel like,
It looks like I'm moving.
That's right.
And
Hey,
smarter
there
grade.
we go. That's too funny. Now, how about you guys? Have you been doing a lot of like digital and remote work previously, or is this kind of a new thing for you? Is this a whole like are you using Zoom for the first time this week?
I'm not, I back in the don't want to date myself, but back in the early '80s, I was asked to digitize all of the evidentiary information for the Love Canal trial. So I had to figure out how to scan 600 million documents and make it available to law offices across the country. And I
Wow.
had to bring all of that into a central server. And at that time, it was very difficult to do it from one cloud. Back then, they called it X.25. That was the cloud back in the day. And we used to have to download drivers to load into remote servers to try to get some type of connection between other computers and other systems. So, I mean, from that time and dealing with that much information, it became very evident that the world was going to be digitized. And the very next thing after that, I was working on a project for Goldman Sachs where they wanted to become paperless. And so we created a system so that every single piece of paper that came into Goldman Sachs was scanned and sent to the proper owner in their computer.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's been going on in a very large way in very large corporations. And I think that technology is now obviously in our hand.
Right. And how about you, Iman? Is this like a new process for you, or did you have any preparation coming into this, or how are you feeling with all this?
Well, let me just say that I'm happy that I have like a photo and video company right now. So at least around me are a lot of talented photographers, videographers that know how to use a camera, that know technical stuff, because I definitely am not technical whatsoever. Um, and we actually, like, a couple of days ago, converted to our team just working remotely, and it's hard for us to send like videographers right now to anybody to film anything because it's just that period. But we're able to do a lot of editing, so that's kind of like a great opportunity. Our editors get to stay busy. I get to catch up on a lot of videos that I wanted to edit for my business. So, well, other than that, I'm really short on clients right now, so I can't really do anything with clients. There's nobody getting married, nobody's doing events, so Exclusive Entertainment has nothing. And Night Owls and Unite and Conquer are still like in its infancy. So I'm just right now creating structure and systems for my own team so that we can at least stay on top of each other, so that we don't get lazy, so that we create a nice structure and daily meetings. So I'm just kind of acclimating to an organized, professional teleworking structure with my team. That's pretty much what I'm working on right now as we build our clientele.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that even just like touching base with my staff and having a Zoom call with them, because, a lot of times Matt, my engineer, he's running a session right now. Otherwise, he would be in this chat as well. But, a lot of times he's on, autopilot. Like he runs the sessions, like our whole system is automated. Mary, you'll be happy to hear that. And so, anytime anybody books, it creates a Google Calendar, event, and then it creates a Trello card, and then it creates a Slack alert. So, I mean, stuff comes in and I don't have to say, hey, we have a new client. Like it just shows up into the workflow and he knows what to do. And then I don't have to say, hey, we have a client at 10 a.m. Like he's already on his way into the studio. And everything just sort of moves really smoothly. So I don't necessarily check in with Matt other than Slack, throughout the week, and so just even having a Zoom conversation with him the other day, like really helped because, you just realize, I mean, I spend a lot of time alone. And so I'm either all the way on or I'm all the way off. There's really like no middle ground. Like I have no problem getting up on a stage and doing what I got to do. But I also don't mind staying home on a Friday night, like at all. And I think that's because I spent 20 years throwing parties and people are like, you want to go to a bar? And I'm like, God, no, this is the last place I want to be. Because bars are fun when you're not there until 3 a.m. cleaning up after the party, and I know you understand that fully. It's like everybody thinks it's really glamorous and you're like, it has its moments, right? But it's definitely hard to just be in this position now, and so making time to socialize, even just seeing the three of your faces right now and having this conversation is really nice. It's a nice break from things, and I would suggest, video editing, right, is going to be a whole thing. I mean, I'm selling an online course offering where if you want to have a course, you send me all your information, I synthesize it into a course, and then I'll show you how to take proper videos of yourself with your phone, and we'll do a test run. I'll get on the line with you. I'll say, no, scoot to the left, scoot to the right, make sure you're a little more centered. And then we can put the graphics next to you and stuff. And then I just have them record their own videos and send them to me. And then our team edits the hell out of them to make them really poppy, and an intro and music and colors and on-screen graphics and the whole nine. And then we send them back and synthesize them into this board, right? So I feel like that's just a solid example of how to take the current situation and make it work. Because I have one awesome video editor, but you probably have like 10. I don't know. I know you have more than me, right? So maybe that's the move, is like, people are going to want to record messages for their employees or for their audience or whoever it might be. And it's going to look terrible. So if they sent it to you, then maybe you could edit it and clean it up and make it look better and send it back to them. And I would suspect that people who still have operating budgets would find that really valuable, because now the rush is going to be like, who can present something better than Zoom, right? Or make your Zoom call not look like a Zoom call, if that's possible.
Yeah, we were talking about, and this is one of the things I wanted to suggest for Iman, is virtual weddings. I mean, the VR headset and, going on location. Imagine you're going on location. Everybody else has a VR headset that's home. They're now experiencing from a distance what you're seeing. And, that's today. And I mean, if it got, we're all Seinfeld's Bubble Boy. But I mean, if with drones and everything, you can be in so many locations and bring that back for a classroom, for anything. I mean, it's amazing what you can do with videography today. One of the things. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Please finish your thought.
One of the exciting things we're working on right now is called co-location, where you could be in many locations at the same time. So I could be walking in the streets of London right now, and the cameras would literally pick me up walking the streets of London. So not only am I seeing London, but I'm physically in London, from a video perspective. And then we're calling that co-location. So you really don't know where I am. I could be in many locations at the same time.
That's crazy.
So I love these ideas. My personal problem as like a business owner in this field right now is still the uncertainty makes it very difficult to invest the time, thought, to be able to build out like this service and then try to sell it to somebody, So that's kind of like the challenge that I'm having right now, is that like the quickest thing is getting people to send us stuff to edit, and I can keep our editors happy. Because my goal right now is to make sure that my people can eat, I've lost so many people right now at Exclusively Entertainment because there's nothing I can do there, but at least there's something I can do. And the idea of virtual reality, it's all great. It's just like for me to like implement the system and get into it, maybe like in a month or so, things are going back to normal, and then I would have just wasted a whole month. So it's a very delicate thing right now, not knowing what's going to happen in a month or two.
Yeah, look at the home chefs. I've been watching a really bright young chef. I think his name is Joshua Weissman, and he's really kitschy. He makes a lot of wonderful things. He's a true chef. But then you've got these other chefs like the Talita chef. That I don't think she actually cooks anything, but she's very provocative in the way that she presents the way that she can cook. And that started me looking at all of the people that are putting how they make food, in the videography channel, in the streaming channel. And so I think, Iman, you have a golden opportunity. You both do have golden opportunities to capture all the bubble boy experiences that we're having right now by just having people send that in to you and making a collage of, America at this point in time, or the world at this point in time. I mean, if you want to keep editors busy, put the call out to people, show us your life right now, show us what COVID-19 has done for you, or, I think this is a golden opportunity for, us as individuals as well. I mean, we get a chance to actually, figure out who we are, now that we're detached from everybody, we get a chance to say, who am I,
Well, I'm glad you say that, because in general, what I'm doing with Unite and Conquer, and just Molly probably knows I've put up so many videos. I really want to encourage everybody to start communicating more their story, how they're feeling, engaging with their network. Like, you don't have to be a business owner to start sharing your purpose, your life mission, the reason why you exist, because so many people, and these are the group of people that I'm really worried about right now. So many people, mental health is affecting them. And this type of hunkering down at home is great for people with strong minds, supportive systems. But if you're depressed, if you're sitting at home and you already had difficulty communicating with people, but now you're confined to a small parameter, it could really, people can lose their life over it. And so, like, I've been trying to encourage people to get in front of Facebook Live or get in front of Instagram Live and start sharing what you want to get out of this life. And then the next step would be also, if you have any videos that you want us to send, or if there's anything that we can help for you to get your message out in a more creative way, because you're going to have to stand out. In the next few weeks, I'm sure you've seen on social media, your friends are starting to get in front of the camera. So now the next wave would be, how can we make it more creative? How can you stand out so that you're not getting scrolled upon on everybody's Facebook Lives,
Right.
Great point.
Yeah.
Mary,
I want to know how college students are going to be graduating this year, because my cousin he's a senior. He's supposed to be graduating. And so we're planning on doing like a Zoom graduation celebration for him. I actually hosted this past Sunday a Zoom call with family that lives in Arizona, because I'm in Virginia, Arizona, Ohio, and California. And what's funny is we've never done that before. And that side of the family, we don't actually see. We don't go to Arizona. They don't come to DC area. And so it was fun. It was my dad, his twin brother, his sister, so late 70s. And then the cousins and their kids. Some of them have college kids, so it was it's like 15 people on and off at any one time for 2 hours just talking. It was great. And we're going to do it again next Sunday.
Yeah. I think, Molly, you're going to have Christy Buckles-Otto on your show, I think, coming up. Nice. And she has a daughter in Arizona that's graduating, and she's quarantined right now. She has a wedding in Michigan, just like Mary was saying. I mean, what's going to happen with all of these things? They're going to have to go some type of virtual. They're going to have to.
They're going to have to. I mean, it's it's kind of a scary time, honestly, right? Because you think about what's going to happen. Like, I mean, I have friends in the event industry as well, like on really large scales that work for Live Nation and Frontrunner Productions, like the people who organize Lollapalooza and Austin City Limits, like 100,000 person events. Like my friend runs the National Cannabis Festival, that's a $500,000 minimum investment to throw that event, right? And she was at the mercy of the mayor. The mayor's like, we're going to put a hold for 2 weeks. And then that put her at, like way too far out, and too close to the date to cancel contracts regarding the events without penalties. And then the mayor was kind of playing this game. So then when they announced a longer break, she was able to say, okay, we're going to put this on pause for real. And we're going to postpone it until September. But, how many insurance companies are getting pummeled right now? Are they going to be the ones still standing? Like, forget a cruise ship, man. Like, what? Let's focus on the insurance companies, because these claims have got to be out of control, right? So, I mean, it's a crazy time. I mean, I don't know. I would say, Iman, like, my best advice is that I don't think that things will ever be the same. I don't think that we are going to go back to where we were. And so, because I hear you. I'm like, should I pivot to this? Should I just wait? And it's like, no, man, like the show must go on, right? Like we know that no matter what. I mean, you've dealt with, if you're in the entertainment business, you know problems, right? Like
Yeah.
problems are your bailiwick. I mean, more or less. You're like, oh, a problem at an event? Imagine that, right? So I think it's just time to take some of that creativity and flip it into a way, you know, that can be sustainable. So even if when things come back, they won't be the same, but then you still have a baseline of business coming in, and then when things come back, they can kind of level each other out. But I kind of think this is the new normal for a while.
Yeah, you know, I think you're right. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think, you know, you're absolutely right, Molly. My mother was a writer for Fran Stryker, who wrote Sergeant Press of the Yukon, The Green Hornet, The Lone Ranger, and she was used to that entertainment lifestyle. And she started a thing called Imolog, and later Arts to Script, where she would have people come to a venue and they would put on their special talent. And at the end, my father would make a Black Forest cake, and everybody would have a piece of cake, and you know, people loved it. Well, all of a sudden, I get an invitation that if I'm, and this was about 2 months ago, if I'm willing to go to this seminar free, they would deliver a pizza to my house. And so right before the event happened, the doorbell rang. You know, the pizza company was there. They handed me a pizza. I got online. We ate pizza and had this seminar. And it was a very strange experience, but not anymore. I mean, now that this happened, before 2 months ago, it was odd. Today, it's perfectly normal. Perfectly normal.
And you know, Molly, when you just mentioned that things aren't going to be the same, the one thing that I don't think anybody is talking about enough is that if we come out of this hiding in a couple of months, like how is our social interaction is going to be? How is our psychologically, how are we going to be impacted? Like we're not in 2 months. If we're hunkered down for 2 months, do we want to still hug the next person when we see them in 2 months or shake their hands? Like it's crazy how human interaction is deeply going to be impacted, but we're not even talking about that yet because we're still in the middle of this war. You know, like we haven't even gotten to the point where, I know you didn't want to talk about negative stuff, but you know, it just kind of came up. I wanted to kind of share. But like for me, like that's the part that I'm concerned about, which is why I'm hoping that this storm comes now hard and hopefully out of the way instead of like let it linger for 6 to 12 months. Because I'm worried about the psyche. I'm constantly thinking about the psyche.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hugging you, Iman.
Yeah.
I'm hugging you.
Yeah.
You can't stop me. I'm a hugger. It even says on my
you look like
Facebook
a great
profile.
hugger, Mike.
I am. I am. I love it.
I mean, you know, I was joking with my mom this morning. I said they should start hug lines at hospitals. Like when people are released from the hospital after recovering from COVID-19 and they hopefully can't get it again, they should just hug like 100 people before they're allowed to go home. Like,
there must be no puppies in any state. All the puppies have to be taken. You know.
That's true.
Let's hope so anyway. Yeah. I mean, you know, so, I mean, Mary, what do you think? Where do you think we're going to, I mean, what do you think about all this?
Well, I do think it is going to change the way that we work, the way that we communicate with one another. But I feel like once the quarantine is lifted, that we're probably going to go back to more normal than we think we will, because that's what I'm yearning for it, you know, being able to walk around and hug and all that kind of stuff. And I am one of those people that is at risk. So I want to be able to go back to normal.
Yeah. Me
but
too.
I do think it'll make people more comfortable with being virtual and remote from one another. So I do hope that more people, you know, get online, start doing more of their services online. Because I think that from a economic perspective, it can actually be beneficial to your business. You know, when you're having to plan in an hour travel commute because you feel like being in person is the only way to deliver your service. That's a lot of time.
Totally.
But being able to do it virtually very close and can be as successful as being in person, sometimes better.
I actually, if I may jump in real quick, I actually think that the same way how there's like the .com boomers, I think this will be a catalyst for a lot of creative entrepreneurs, or even the ones who had been forced to work a regular corporate job but now are here. There's going to be some great people coming out with some great business ideas, leveraging video, leveraging online, leveraging from home, and like we're going to see these things very quickly. I can't wait to hear those stories, because those are like success stories for especially entrepreneurs or small business that have been hit hard, like that are sitting. Like, we want other people to succeed because we want to be hopeful. We want to see other people that got knocked down but got up again, and something great and amazing came out of it. And I have no doubt, especially in this country, that it's a place of dreams coming true. I'm very hopeful in that regard.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to say, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say for the first time that I've been noticing something about millennials. And I believe that millennials have an unbelievable inner strength, something that we have not seen since the greatest generation. And I'm going to put it out there. I know it's a risk to say that, but I have seen a strength that they present in their inside, of self, of being, of not kowtowing to just anything that comes along. And I believe that that generation, if they seek out the right mentors, that the best that we can give them, I really truly believe that they'll become the greatest generation that we've ever seen. I do.
That's
I
awesome.
have to say,
I hope you're right.
Yeah. I applaud the fact that they're more like purpose-based than what I even grew up doing. And I would say I didn't even clue into that until I was after 40. So I applaud that focus on, being purpose-based, mission-based, living for their own benefit, self-good. I love working with millennials. They're just much more, they're fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
I think that it sounds strange. Well, I think part of that, right, is millennials have just been grew up with the internet for the most part, or close there to it. And so it's just like a lot of all the bad information in the world being pummeled in your face all day. So I think there's a certain sense of resiliency there to not let it all bother you, but being a little bit more realistic about things and just having more information. But I think that, and it's, what this virtual remote movement is going to do is going to solve a lot of accessibility problems that we currently have that we conveniently like to ignore. Handicapped people is a really obvious one. If you're in a wheelchair, it's harder to get around, but that's not where it ends. Accessibility is also about public transportation and being able to move around the city. I mean, for me to get to work in an Uber at 9 a.m. is $50, right? $50 to go 3.5 miles.
That's crazy.
That's a problem, right? Back, a year and a half ago or whenever, you could get almost anywhere in DC for $8 in a Lyft or an Uber. Now, $15. For me to go from my house to the studio, which is 3.5 miles at any time of day, is $15, right? There's times that before my mom gave me her old minivan and I was just riding a bike, if I'm riding a bike, then I got to show up super sweaty and gross, and that's not always ideal. Or if I'm taking Lyft or Ubers, I could spend $100 a day on Lyfts and Ubers going to work and getting home and getting to meetings. That is not sustainable, right? Then you look at the Uber and Lyft economy. It's not sustainable for the drivers. It's not sustainable for the riders. It's only sustainable for the guy that owns Uber and his shareholders, right?
Yeah.
All of this stuff is going to be reimagined and repurposed because it's not sustainable. And I think that we're all seeing that. Our economy is paper thin, and when you look at I mentioned this yesterday. So I don't want to be repetitive, but it really blew my mind how many businesses were closing their doors within like 3 days. I'm like, you're already what? You were about to go out of business this whole time, and this was just the catalyst to be like, fuck it, I'm out. I can't handle this anymore. There's nothing left. I definitely can't do this. And that's a bummer, right? Like DC Improv closed its doors, fired 50 people. Like they're not like, hey, we'll be back. They're like, we're out. And I guarantee it's because they're paying too much for rent, right? So a lot of this, I think, is going to change a lot of really good things. And if we could send, to your point, it's like if we could just spend that time doing the meeting and not traveling. I mean, even with a car, I'm still paying $5 for every 2 hours or $20 to be in a garage. I mean, the amount of money that we spend, the amount of money, time, and emotional, not to mention driving in DC is the worst thing on the planet. So you get there and you're like, I hate everybody, right? Which is only second to none than like riding a bike in DC, because then when you arrive, you're like, I almost died, right? Like there's nothing good in either one of those. So I feel like we're gonna kind of, reclaim our time, if you will, and then we can actually start working at 9 and maybe finish at 3, right? Yeah. Because we can be more productive. And because, I went on 2 bike rides in the last couple of days, and it was just really interesting. Like, I've never seen so many people in DC parks. Never. And I've been on my bike for 7 years in this town, and I promise you, there are not that many people at Lincoln Park on an average day, Yeah. People are having front porch parties and, waving at each other. I don't know. I think this is sort of shaking things up in a way that's making people feel more connected to their neighbors and their community. And I think that, a lot of people are really upset, like in the hospitality industry, right? And they're like, my whole industry. And it's like, a lot of my timeline is hospitality people. And I'm like, guys, everyone's freaking out, right? And you don't ever, like, when you're like, oh, I don't feel good, and you're like, oh, and someone says, oh, you're not alone, you're like, shut up, man, that doesn't help, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, in this particular circumstance, you are not alone. Every single business, like if you're worried about your job and your kids, there's a business owner who's worried about your job and your kids and 7 other people's, right? Like no one is immune from this. And the only thing I can hope is that the whole thing collapses, so the government has to infuse us back up, and then we reinvent how we do things, because this is not a life. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I am working harder every year. I am working longer hours every year, and I am not getting any further ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you have to say to yourself, after all of this, do I actually want to run into DC to the Marriott for a Danish and a cup of coffee to see a seminar? I mean, it's nuts. Why would I do that? Why would I spend? We have a friend who used to spend 2 hours each way to work a full day, and then spend 2 hours getting home, 4 hours on the road. And he did that for 7 years.
Yeah. I can't even imagine that.
That's everybody in Los Angeles.
That's everybody in Los Angeles. Yeah. That's everybody in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Since I started working for myself, I almost avoid going to DC, even though that's where I've worked for 20 years. Yeah. And I'm like 5 miles from where I worked. But now I'm like, I don't really want to meet people in DC. Like, I'd rather do that virtually. Yeah. I want to know what you guys are doing with your time home when you're not working. Because we got, I have teenage kids. We got a tabletop ping pong table. So the ping pong table parts arrived, and we're waiting on the paddles. But I'm very excited about being able to have ping pong.
That's an essential part, the paddles.
Yeah. A neighbor's got some, so we'll pick those up after this and clean them off, and then we're going to be playing this afternoon.
Well,
that's awesome.
I thought you would be doing more hide and seek. I think more families are going to be doing more hide and seek. Okay, for the next 4 hours, we're going to play hide and seek.
Yeah. Find my tax returns from the last 4 years so I can apply for small business disaster relief.
Again, like we said before, how do the people that really need that money, really need that check, how do they get it? How do the people at the margin, who may have fallen off the scope. I mean, you can't go by a tax return. You just left out, what, 5 million, homeless people, in the country?
Well,
I mean,
and not only that, but like you look at, and I was talking with my best friend, my roommate about this the other night. He's Venezuelan, so he's like, oh, whatever, it'll be fine. I'm like, this is not reassuring. He's like, hey, so he's like, we go to the grocery store all the time and there's nothing on the shelves. He's like, but I've never not eaten in a day. And I'm like, I find that like somehow comforting in its own way, but he has a different perspective. But he was like, I don't know, Molly, like we're still working, but he has all his money like buried into an apartment that he's renovating, and he's like running to get to Home Depot before they shut down. And I mean, it's just a mess. And he says, people are still working. And I said, no, man. Brown and black people are still working. Like you go to these construction sites and they're still full of brown people who are probably undocumented and unprotected are still working. I could open my front door right now and you would hear the sounds of the construction from the 5 new condo buildings being built that you can see from my front porch for some reason. But like, and a lot of those people are totally unprotected and they're not going to get those checks. And they're out there on the front lines right now working. Like they shouldn't be building condos right now. Nobody should be working right now. That's not an essential job. You know what I mean? So you're right. But I think that all of this is just going to draw a lot more light to this. It's like all of a sudden they're putting, people experiencing homelessness are now in houses. All of a sudden they found housing for them. So I think it's a real eye opener to see like what we are capable of doing.
So a couple of things. One of my best friends, he's one of the aides for Chuck Schumer. And so I know that they're about to wrap up that thing. And, based on tax returns, anybody who does have tax returns submitted, based on that, they're going to be sending out those checks very soon. So there's going to be some relief coming to a lot of people, obviously undocumented. That's a whole different situation. But also anybody that is very, very concerned financially, especially in the short term, like 1 to 3 months. Pretty much every single service provider of like gas, electricity, even mortgage, you can call them up and you get 3 months deferment. So what I would recommend for anybody who is really, really clenching onto every dollar, a penny saved is a penny earned, you need to call those people immediately, get deferred payment so that at least you have breathing room and you have that little nest egg in the next couple of months in case shit hits the fan, So at least the good thing is that everybody is being understanding and supportive. I mean, I even know of I'm a landlord too, so I've been flexible with my tenants. You have to be like everybody has to.
What are you gonna
do? Yeah, exactly. What are you gonna do? So everybody has to do flexibility to a certain degree, and I've seen it in many different levels. So
yeah, definitely. For sure. I think. I'm oddly optimistic about it all. I think it's going to be really difficult for sure, but I think that we're going to come out of this better. I think our society will be retooled. Our globe will be retooled in a lot of ways. And I think we just kind of got to stick together. So I want to talk more about what Mary was saying about what are we doing in our downtime? So personally, my roommate, Jesus, he leaves every morning at like 6 a.m. and he doesn't come home till like 10 p.m. because he's just he's barricading himself into this apartment to try to finish it before he's not allowed to leave, right? Because we're just waiting for this lockdown. So I'm spending a lot of time alone with my dog, and I've just been like taking it easy on myself. I've been cooking and trying to be healthier. I went on a couple bike rides. I'm doing some yoga in the morning. I'm meditating, and I'm taking one room at a time. I'm decluttering. I'm getting rid of some stuff. I'm trying to optimize some of my systems and really just stay connected, because sometimes even if I can't muster positivity for myself, it's easier for me to jump in with someone else. Like a friend of mine is posting some online cooking classes, and she was like, what should I charge? And somebody was like $15 or $20, and somebody else said $150, and she was like, oh no, I wouldn't charge that much. I jumped in her DMs, and I was like, boo, if that guy wants to pay $150, like take his money. Like, you don't devalue yourself. This isn't the time. And I sent her a video link, and I like gave her a pep talk, and she was like, thank you so much. But it's like, sometimes even just showing up for somebody else makes it a little easier for me to show up for myself, which is also part of the reason why I wanted to launch this series, just because it's like, then I have to be presentable by 2 p.m. every day, no matter what, because I'm going to be on the internet, right? And I got to be not drunk. So that's a good start. So how about you, Mike? What are you doing in your downtime?
Well, like I said, I'm an inventor, so I'm constantly working on any number of different projects. But one of the ones that I like that I'm working on now, I've done a lot of work with schools, and so I go in for like their science fair, and I'm a judge usually for the science fair. But I believe that, and I told you guys this before, I believe that we all have the inventor gene. I believe that we all have the ability to literally reinvent the world. I know because I've done it a couple of times.
Yeah.
I've literally changed parts of the world with my safety and security and medical device and the rest, literally sitting in a chair with a piece of paper and pencil,
Yeah.
and I know that we have that inside of us. And I'd like to bring a course to school kids, especially inner city kids, and give them that signal that they have that within them, no matter what their intellect level, no matter what their capability. I don't care where they come from. I know that inside of them, they can invent the world again. So that's what I'm working on.
And we need that more than ever.
So Michael, since first of all, I'm a huge fan of yours, not from before, but as a result of today, and
Thank you.
I'm rooting for you to accomplish the goals you're trying to accomplish. And since you mentioned that you want to go to schools, since last summer, I've actually been speaking at schools as like an entrepreneur. And a couple of months ago, I introduced a very new concept for our presentation, and that is that I infused entertainment, inspiration, and talking about like entrepreneurship by bringing on, we went to Mead High School, and so we had the whole auditorium, a few hundred students. I had my saxophonist on my right, I had my DJ, I had our lighting, and so it was like a 40-minute presentation where every 20 minutes I would step aside from the stage, and my entertainers would play a great song that all the high schoolers they know. And the reason why I brought this up, and I'm trying to basically take that on tour. That was the goal before all this stuff happened. But I think that once schools open up again, they need inspiration. And to entertain, to inspire the youth, you have to do it through entertainment or comedy. I'm not funny, so I have to rely on something more entertaining. And if once the ball gets rolling again, hopefully I'll have an opportunity to integrate you a part of that, so you can also have a few minutes and share that part, because I think what you're doing is awesome. And creativity is in all of us, but some of us don't realize that it's there, and you got to kind of take off the veil, and bada bing, bada boom, you have a new career for somebody that can inspire millions of people.
Powerful tool. Thank you very much. It's a powerful tool. My father always knew that he was an inventor. He used to call himself an idea man, but I didn't. I was at the Lemon Foundation under the direction of Dr. Roger Fouts to teach chimpanzee sign language. And at the Lemon Foundation, they have all these groups of different types of apes and chimps, and they teach them at different levels. Well, I got a chance to be with Nim. There's a movie about Nim. I got to be with Nim, and when I was with him, his handler was trying to get him to sign a specific set of words. And typically you work on one word at a time. But Nim kept signing nut lotion. And he kept saying it over and over and over. Then finally he went berry lotion. And what I'm doing is I'm rubbing my arm like this. And Nim was trying to tell the handler that he wanted fruit and yogurt together. And I know this sounds like the setup for a joke, but he literally did. And the handler looked at us and said, I think Nim is trying to tell me to put the fruit in the yogurt and give it to him. And she did, and he was totally satisfied. And they were like, look at that. It changed my life. I mean, I looked at them like, guys, this chimpanzee just invented a word. He just invented a word.
Fruit lotion.
You're right. Fruit lotion. And I was, like I said, I was mollified by it, and from that moment on, I started working with a man by the name of George Tomasovich. He wrote the Millenniad, Humanity's Road to Maturity. It's called The Millenniad. And it's a review of the last 1,000 years of mankind. And I took 5 years out of my life to help him write that. And what I learned from the next level for like my growth was to realize, and this is kind of my tagline, if you will, that everything we know and believe in was invented by man. And that's kind of a blessing and a curse. So when you actually have to remove yourself from that, when I invent, I remove myself from that. I remove myself from the thoughts that, from what I just said, that everything you know and believe in was invented by man. When I relieve myself of that, I then open myself up to something new. And that's part of the what I would like to, have youth understand, that they can spark that within themselves. And it's not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's hard, but it's an amazing journey.
Mom, couldn't you do what you're doing in the high school gymnasiums? Like, do you have a studio or like a backdrop? Like, could you set something up with your lights and all that? Like,
yeah, to do it virtually, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, right now, like, where are we going to get the students from? Like, unless I coordinate with the schools, you mean?
Yeah, because you could do a Zoom. You could do a Zoom presentation,
or you could do a TikTok.
Right, like any kind of a streaming thing, and spoken like someone who has teenagers for sure, right? But I mean, if you have really great cameras, right, and you can do a Zoom call essentially, where they broadcast you on the, actually no, they're home, so you can bring up to 400 people into a Zoom chat if you have a business plan, right? So you could technically have the cameras on in your studio and set it up with the lights and the DJ equipment and the whole thing, and you with the microphone, but really high quality. And you can pitch that to schools and say, hey, we'd have an online pep rally at 1 p.m. on the first Friday of the month. And they send every parent the link, and then the kids tune in and they get that same inspiration and vibe from you. And since you're not streaming it, you could totally play the music you want without ASCAP shutting you down, because you're not streaming it. You're not, you know what I'm saying? So you can play the Aesop Rocky or whatever. As long as your end of it is like really popping, then you're still giving that same information, and you already have proof of concept. You've done it. You have content to show somebody to say, I'll do this virtually.
Yeah. I love it. Let me write this down.
I think that would be a great idea.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I mean, and you can say, hey, I'll create curriculum for kindergartners, whatever. Maybe that's too young, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. 8th grade, 7th grade, 6th grade. I have a different show for each one, and you dial it in and you pitch that to some school districts. I'm sure all of us know some people in some school district type. I don't, because I'm an outlaw and they don't let me get near kids. I'm just kidding.
But along that line, my son works for Fisher Price. He's the senior sound engineer for Fisher Price. So I'll connect him with you, and I'm sure that this might be a good, Molly, I think you're onto something. I think this could be a good thing for online education.
I would really appreciate it. I actually, from the Mead High School presentation, we have the full coverage. I'm chopping it down. I was in the process of making like a 5-10 minute highlight package to then pitch it to all the school organizations. Like Mead High School, the lady, the AVID director, loved the presentation. It's hard to get 16, 17-year-olds to be quiet for an hour.
Right.
And the only time they were loud when there was music, but they were so tuned in. And I had a whole line of people, kids that wanted to do a TikTok video with me, actually, to kind of share on their stuff. So I love that connection. I just had to figure out how to not necessarily monetized off it, but like it cost me like $1,000 of my own money because I did it for free to take my DJs, my technician, my musician. I still have to take care of some team members, and I filmed it and edited, but I did it because I wanted this proof of concept. So I'm going to edit it, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. And if you guys have ideas of how to get it out to more people, God bless you, because I really believe in it. I mean, it could be both. When we get back to normal, we can do it in person, but then also for schools that are on a budget or something, I'll do it digitally, you know?
Exactly. You can have both opportunities, right? Because they could live stream it on a television with some speakers and stuff if the kids are back. And if they're not, and I just think this so aligns perfectly with like your vision and your purpose, because you are concerned about people's mental health, and
oh my God,
and what a great way, but to do like a super hypey, fun thing. I feel like lots of organizations would be down for that. And, you know, and the teachers too, you know, the teachers could be in the room and they can see some of their kids. I mean, it could be a lot of fun, you know. I think there's a lot of opportunity here.
I can't wait to share it with you guys and get your honest feedback too. We got great feedback from the students and teachers, and I'm so appreciative of you guys coming up with ideas of how to take it to the next level, because I've been waiting for that opportunity.
Well, I mean, live your purpose, man. That's what you do, is you connect people, you elevate people, you make people feel better and part of something. And I think that's such an important quality to have. And so we need you, man. We need you now more than ever, you know?
Go ahead, Michael.
No, you can literally mail their diplomas to them and do a virtual graduation. You know, have each. Oh my God, this is like really exciting. Can you imagine? You know, a virtual graduation. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. But going in full circle, I mean, this is why I'm encouraging other people to share their passion. You know, like I have so many Facebook and Instagram friends, but you probably don't know what they do, what they love to do, what they're meant to be here for. Like, we're all here for a reason. I genuinely believe that. Yes. And yet so many people, they get up out of their house, well, not anymore, but they get up and they go to work, they come back, they're miserable. It's like, my goodness, that's one life that could be making an impact. But like, we don't know because they don't share it, you know? And like, here I am, I've shared you guys my passion, you guys have shared yours. So now in the back of my mind, I'm like, what can I do for Molly and Mary and Michael that helps them on their mission, you know? And like, I think this is one of the best things that's coming out of what's happening in our world right now, is that we get to have these type of conversations and root for each other and support each other as much as possible, you know?
Molly, Molly.
All that hard work is paying off.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's not, I mean, I'll take the praise, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you guys showed up, you signed the link, you didn't even know what to expect. You just entrusted that I wasn't going to, you know, put you in a bad situation. So really the thanks is to you guys. And this is exciting, man. This is awesome. I think this is great. Like, this is a really nice way to kind of break up what's going on, because I know it's tough. I had to lay somebody off yesterday, and that sucks, man.
Oh, that sucks.
It does suck. But you know, it is what it is, right? And I got to make sure that the people closest to me and my employees that are here, you know, because it was a remote worker, and I have to make sure that my people that are inside the city limits like can survive and feed themselves, and that's really important to me. So it kind of is what it is, right? But it's I think this is awesome. You know, I don't want to take up any more of your time because I know we started late. So, and I know Mary's got some stuff to do. I know we all have some stuff to do. And Michael, that sounds like fun, honestly. And then Michael, we should circle back too and talk about some other things offline. But yeah, man, I'm excited. Thank you guys for, you know, logging in with me today. Hopefully the delay isn't too bad on the flip side. We'll have to check it out afterwards. I think it looks okay, but what are you going to do?
Even if it didn't come out okay, it was a pleasure getting to know all three of you really much more. And Molly, thank you again for doing this. It got me even more re-energized for what I'm planning to do anyways with our podcast. And we actually, and I don't know if Molly, if you can connect us later on, but anybody else who is watching, we created a private event group Facebook group for Unite and Conquer. And it's facebook.com/groups and then /Unite and Conquer spelled out. So it's a private group that, again, we're going to be putting out a lot of helpful content Again, educational, inspirational. We'll have some guest speakers. Constantly they can refer to that group as a place where they can get knowledge and also be connected to some like-minded people. Right now we have about 24, 25 people, all different types of small business. So facebook.com/groups/Unite and Conquer. But Mary and Michael, hopefully get connected with you as well. And it's been awesome. Nice party.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure, Mary.
Yeah.
Pleasure, Iman.
And then let me know, guys, if I can update the video description and stuff. So send me any links that you want, for your business and your websites and any Facebook. You can send me any links and I'll update the description on the video this afternoon. So that way, when it's getting shared and people are watching it, they have the right information.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Thank
guys
you.
so much. I'm gonna. I don't know how to work my own system. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning
Molly.
in.
Thank
I
you, Molly.
appreciate you. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow at 2:00.
Talk
Bye.
soon.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.